Hello.
Hey, Ethan. No, yes.
How's everyone doing?
We are good. We have scheduled a meeting after this meeting. So, and we have two members here who are trying to make a 7 o'clock meeting. So I'm going to try and move us through this agenda briskly. And
I like that.
I'm asking for your cooperation. Spencer already said he wouldn't go on off on any tangents and rants. So.
I'll try not to.
Oh man, he backtracked from what he said a minute ago. Doesn't look good. So I will call this meeting to order and announce that it is being recorded. Present here on Zoom are Director Ethan Bertrand. We have General Manager Jonathan Abboud, Director Spencer Brandt, and myself, Carrie Topliff. And I would like to acknowledge before we begin that the Chumash people, who are the traditional custodians of this land, and pay our respects to the Chumash elders, present, past, and future, who call this place Anascoyo, the land that Isla Vista sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue their tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Chumash community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. And right now would be time for public comment. If any member of the public is present and would like to speak, do it.
No public.
Okay, when it gets down to finance, everybody's got something better to do. So the first thing on our agenda is reviewing the 2022 budget process timeline, which we have looked at a number of times.
Yeah.
And did you have some adjustments that you'd like to share with us?
Just
Jonathan?
a quick update that well, this is wrong now because I'm not sure. The interpersonal violence investigator report is still, I don't have a hard commitment on August 9th yet, but I do for the safety stations. So, you know, we'll get to the interpersonal violence. I told them it should be in August sometime. Like it's now the program's over and we need a report. So that's hopefully coming, but the safety stations will get in. I have the report already. So it's ready to go. So they're scheduled and we have it in hand. So that's the last two things we really need to do.
Okay,
Are
and you'll
those two
just keep
reports.
working on getting those calendared because
Yeah.
we would certainly like to have those reports.
Yes. So that's it. And then the final budget will be approved still on August 23rd.
That's a very important date for us.
Yes, that's what we put in the newspapers. We have to follow it.
All right, and then we're looking at estimated actuals for the fiscal year from 21 to 22.
Yes, and I have those up.
And are those still estimates or we're totally closed out now?
They're totally closed out. So I
Okay.
maybe could have said actuals instead. I'll tell you that my actual numbers were only $3,000 to $4,000 off from the estimated.
Good for you.
So
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. It was really
That
good.
must feel good.
Yeah, it was excellent. And these are the actuals where we're at. You know, you can see like salaries and benefits, we spent less because we didn't have the AGM position this year. So even with the replacement roles, we still underspent that budget a bit. Most everything, the only areas where you can see like we went a bit over were it's small amounts of money in, our audit fees. Now we can fine tune this number based on how much that costs because it does go up every year. There's more work to do every year for us. So it goes up a bit because of the number of hours they spend. Office expenses, this went really high over, but we've talked about why, because we had planned tech purchases in the last fiscal year and then ended up doing them this last fiscal year instead. So it was just a carryover expense. Our membership fee at CSDA went up. So this is another adjustment. So just these look like huge variances. They're actually small amounts of money. And then there's 50% spending in much larger pools.
Right.
So we ended up spending 76% of our services and supplies budget. So it did come out even at the end.
Yeah.
And our net financial, and this is what we approved yesterday, our fund balance changes. And then we ended up with a net financial impact of $339,000. And here is our balance sheet. We have this on the Google Sheets too, but just so you guys can see the exact, what's in fin. The correction we didn't take into effect at the year end because we did it after year end because it was a mistake. But the total amount's still the correct total amount. It's just 50,000 will shift from 2,200 to 2,130 to account for it. So, but this is how much we have in our fund balance, 1.9 million.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So good actuals. Whatever we estimated was pretty much what happened. So no
Excellent.
wild variance. Cool. Well, that's it.
And the draft 2023 budget?
Yeah. So I have a couple changes that have been made and then a couple changes that we can still discuss today and see what else we want to make adjustments to. So I just want to bring this up again. So the changes that I did make already, so this is now a past an improved version of what we already approved just in June. So all the revenue updates, actually, I'll just do the revenue update first. Revenue is looking really good. We're ending at 1.170, which is a pretty big increase from the prior year budgeted. So we had budgeted this much, and then we actually got getting this much. So just want to see our revenue projections. They're just we got a 14% increase on our revenue. So good on us for our revenue. So that change was made. And so that's the only change on the revenue side. And then on spending, I made a couple updates, which are the new salary ranges, which we haven't approved yet at the board, but the board have pretty much said, yes, that's what I want to do. So
yeah, no, we should definitely.
So we'll start budgeting them.
For sure.
And so the way I'm doing it is whatever that employee's highest amount they're going to get this fiscal year is what's going to go in here. So Sydney, for example, hits step 2 in August, but I just put the full budget for that position at step 2 into the budget. I could go and peel off 1/12 of the raise. I could do that. It's up to you guys. I decided to put in the full salary because it is the full cost of that position, because that's what the full cost will be next year. But I don't know.
Probably more.
It'll be more.
Still have steps.
There'll be another COLA, potentially, and another step. So yeah, it's up to you guys. I mean, it's how much it's gonna be. It's like 1/12 of 5% of 95,000. So I don't know the exact numbers, but this is more of a policy decision. Do we want to be very exact or mostly exact?
I think that I'm personally comfortable with that method.
Yeah.
And it does help us to, keep at a glance our sense of what the cost to us of that position is currently.
Right.
So I think that probably the variance between actually being accurate and, being a little bit more, generalized is probably not that much that it's going to create problems for us, and the problems will be to our good.
Right.
So that means that we have a little extra cushion there.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think is fine too.
Yeah.
I agree. I have a question of so all the other stuff, the FICA and the retirement contribution, does that has been scaled to reflect that?
Oh, it's all formulas.
It's all formulas. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's that also that they are maybe a little overstated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By small amounts.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the one big change in the expenses that I've done since our last meeting is I updated. I didn't update mine. I updated it to the COLA amount, but everyone else I updated it to their next highest step in this fiscal year. Which 2 of our employees start in summer. Well, 3 of our employees start in summer. So for almost everybody, it will be like a close to exact.
Yeah.
Maya is in the middle of the year for her. So for her, you could say, oh, half the raise is not going to happen. And that's maybe a more significant number compared to these where it's like 1 month off. Or Carly's only 2 days.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
So I have those numbers in. The other thing that that were just flagged at the board meeting where should we add more money for advertising? So I just highlighted that as a discussion point. And then we had,
And we had decided to put in additional intern positions, right?
yeah, let me,
So that's where we're seeing that increase.
yes, I'll talk about the interns position in a second. That's I'll get, that's a discussion.
Okay, I don't want to get so brisk.
No,
You
it's
don't get a
okay, it's
chance to
okay.
Tell us what's going on.
We have this janitorial services that this, I think you brought this up, Carrie.
Yeah,
It seemed low. So we're getting a new quote tomorrow from them to see like, hey, why was this quote so low? And could we do, are you doing enough maybe, or what's going on? So I don't have a final number for this yet, but I'm getting it.
And speaking of that, what is the story with the RVP, the Recreation and Park District bathrooms being closed? Is that like, they've given no notification to the community about what that's about and how long it's gonna last?
I think they closed during COVID, at the beginning of
Are you
COVID.
serious? They haven't got closed that long?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
like, this is in the community center,
I think-
the only public bathroom in the downtown loop?
No, they have a Marburg porta potty in Little Acorn Park. I think they run that.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I think they have one in People's Park too.
Like Marburg services it every day.
Well, I would like to know what the plan is there.
Yeah.
Those are important resources.
Bathrooms, yeah. We actually had 2 people come into the try to use the bathroom in the community center when I was there today. While
Well, it only makes sense. My
Yeah.
God.
yeah, so it's a need.
On the janitorial,
Yeah.
I know, or I heard Maya say something yesterday about, like keeping, I think she was talking about the community room. She was talking about like keeping the space clean. And I wonder, I don't know if that's something that's in the scope of janitorial to be like, I don't know, kind of like clean up and just making sure that like certain like things, whether it's like tables or.
Oh, they won't do that.
In there, like that's not.
Oh, yeah, they won't do that. And community room janitorial is covered under the county's contract. Like we pay for it through our rent.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then
That's
this is for the
right.
community center so that we get to control that one a little more. But yeah, their staff's not really set up for doing that kind of stuff. But we do need to maybe figure out that kind of cleanup system, like putting things back in order. That's more of us and our users to figure out.
And right now, is it a daily or is it like how many times a week are they in the community center?
They're there 4 times a week.
Got it. And like during the weekdays or like every other day?
It's
or
weekdays, yeah.
Weekdays. Okay.
So we're gonna ask about more days and making sure they're doing kind of everything. But we are getting the main review for the community center. It's very clean. So
No,
they are
that's
doing a
great,
good job.
but I
They
think
are
it's
doing a good
important
job.
that we
People notice that.
Stay on top of that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a very obvious morale issue.
Right,
If
right.
you have a lack of cleanliness.
Right, yeah, no, we want to keep, I mean, if that's the #1 rating we're getting, then we want to keep on that and still be the really clean facility, so. Yeah, obviously with this, we don't have the electricity, gas, other things, we're negotiating that soon, hopefully.
I have another question
Yeah.
too. I know we've got a line item that hasn't been filled because landscape maintenance is still something that I think is a part of our negotiations, but I wonder, like with the festival this year,
Oh, yeah.
we had the maintenance that was associated with that we had some work done, IVRPD helped with, but yeah, I wonder if that's something where we might want to say, well, let's just budget it to make sure that we have it. So
Yeah,
we can do it at certain times during the year. Because I know that's just that kind of space. It's almost like a little bit no man's land in between community center
True.
and the park. And I think it'd be great to have that kept up a little bit more regularly.
okay, yeah, we can look at what that'll cost. We have someone who can ask for a quote for it already. He did some good work for us, JP. So,
Oh, good.
yeah,
good.
so we can ask him again to see what he can do. All right. So that's
And
actually,
Jonathan,
oh yeah, go ahead.
thanks. Real quick, if we could go back to the communications section, you highlighted the 25,000 for advertising. And can you clarify, is that the increased amount or we would consider an addition on top of that?
Yeah, that was the originally approved amount. So,
Okay.
but then we didn't change it at the board meeting, but we just heard, oh, we like more advertising money. So I just highlighted the things to make adjustments to, but I haven't adjusted all of these yet.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. So actually, I was gonna say, like, the goal for today is just to get more of an inventory of these changes and start doing the costing now, because this is the final round, so it'll be easy to do, but just getting the inventory of the changes we for sure want to make. And then so janitorial, landscaping are good ones, and the other ones we've talked about. Let's see, going down.
Quick
Yeah.
question on comms too. Did the website get in there? I'm not sure if I'm not sure.
Yeah, the website is, it's only $100 a month. It's right here.
I think we had talked about doing a website revamp augmentation.
That doesn't cost money. I mean, it costs like labor time, but
Our staff will do it.
I mean, we have like a platform we use the website on. If we get a different one, that'll, might cost more money, but we don't have another vendor
I'm
yet.
thinking of when we had Sydney here and we were talking about different projects throughout the year, and one of them that we talked about was doing an RFP to try and get a more professional website that's like more versatile to our needs than what we have now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have a budget. We're not gonna have a budget for that right now. Like, there's only two vendors, Granicus and Streamline, that we can use.
Okay, sorry, I thought we'd settled on the number. I can go back and check though.
No, I don't remember that. But if you look it up, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that me and Sydney have been talking about a new vendor and like she did a demo, I think, with Granicus, but we didn't talk about an RFP yet. Maybe we totally forgot. So which meeting was it about?
It was the finance committee where we were speaking with
Okay.
Cindy, but maybe I misinterpreted something. I'll go back and look at it.
Okay, we'll go back to look at that on the website. Okay, and then another thing we need to figure out, we have, is what we're gonna do with interpersonal violence services. We don't have any progress, right? We haven't heard anything, Spencer? No? Yeah, we met with some folks who might give us some ideas, but nothing yet. And that's it. I mean, then this one, I think we're gonna just put this higher figure until we figure this one out. So that's the ones that I have. Now, going back to the internship issue, and this is pretty much the same as agenda item 3.6, but we can just do it as part of this, addressing this internship number. So one discussion that I've had with the staff, and we're not like set either way, and we wanted to talk about it today to see where you guys were at too, is, we had that talk about the family outreach position from IVYP, which is like $50,000 or so. And we liked like the idea of it, but like, how could we do that in a more, our way instead? So I guess the staff has been thinking like, do we want to do a full-time, part-time, or 10-hour a week position? Those are the three levels we can do it. If we wanted to do like a full-time outreach position, like a family outreach coordinator, something like someone who's doing that, not childcare, but like they're there at the events with families to like help make sure the kids are watched. They're making those connections before and after, kind of the same things we discussed about the IVYP proposal. I guess the staff said if we needed the money and we wanted to, they thought that was an important thing to do internally, they would say that they'd be comfortable having their intern budgets allocated towards like one full position instead of spread out over different 10-hour a week positions. So I didn't put together the numbers yet because this discussion happened like semi recently, but and I wanted to see where we're at. So the idea would be that, look, just wanted to show you right here. I actually didn't do this. We have about 53,000 to still allocate between all these things. So, and we have this 10,000 and we have this 15,000 that's for outreach interns. So wanted to get your guys' take on that idea of combining those for one larger position or keeping them as 4 smaller positions.
Does that include the compost collective stuff?
The Compost Collective doesn't have a dedicated outreach person.
I mean, they have insurance though, right? Or-
They don't have interns. They have dirt riders,
So
and
it's
a different structure. Yeah.
Okay.
So the proposal is for almost like an assistant type of role.
It's kind of like a focused assistant. Yeah, like it would be like, it's not an intern. It's not someone who's in charge of the work, but it's someone to actually do it. Like, like not a manager for sure, and not an assistant manager either, but more, coordinator, someone who executes the plans that have been put forth. So they would do things like go talk to the families at whatever events they're at, be it the ones we have at our, building, and do the kind of what IVYP was talking about, where they meet with people and kind of build their relationships and see how those work for other services. So that's the idea, is we could try to do that as an intern level position too, as like we could try to make like an intern who's focused on that. But yeah, the staff was feeling like it could be good to do a bigger one, just to have like someone who's fully able to commit to all the different work there is to do. So yeah, but it could become expensive. I guess that's where my hesitation is.
And that was what we told youth projects, why we
Exactly.
couldn't give them the 50,000, that we couldn't see that it was sustainable for us.
Exactly. It could become expensive. So it's kind of like an in lieu of, like, do we have a bunch of interns who work on outreach that we sometimes deploy in this way, and not that, or one of them is deployed that way and not all of them? Or do we make it a more, it could be a part-time, like 20-hour a week position as well?
So then we're on the hook for all of the benefits.
It depends on how we do it. Like, if we have it as a regular employee, yeah, then we would be on the hook for some benefits, not the same as a full-time employee. But if we do it as a temporary employee, then yeah, we wouldn't have any. So I think, yeah, I don't know. I see the argument for it, but I think the costs are just a little prohibitive. But I see why it would be good eventually. And we do have, and I guess the idea would be, it's not something that would be solely newly funded. It would be something where we take out existing funding and repurpose it essentially. There's also like 5,000 in this 47,000 that was for child care services that could also be taken out and added to this pool. So like about 30,000 reallocated, and then maybe adding 20 to 30 additional or less, depending on how much we pay, and part-time versus full-time. So I didn't do the exact work yet, but I guess I want to see where you guys were at, so I can put something together that matches what we're all thinking. So yeah.
Ethan, do you have any comments on that?
I have a question. Yes, thank you. Jonathan, has Maya provided a preference for which direction we go?
I think Maya's the one who's maybe the strongest for the idea of trying to, because we had a long talk about it today, and I think she would like a position like this, but she also needs, helping hands more than just, one person who's might be off, doing outreach. I don't know. But Maya, I think, is the one who thinks she's the strongest advocate for this position, is what I'd say. Like she would really like it.
Got it. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I think I'm definitely in favor of having some sort of enhanced outreach worker capacity, but also recognizing that we do need just those helping hands at the community center to help with events, to help with reservations, whatever those needs may be. So I'm wondering, is there some room for us to maybe go half for the outreach worker position and then keep 2 interns to focus on general help?
Yeah, I can put together something like that for sure. So permanent part-time position, outreach coordinator, and then the interns, is what you're saying.
Yeah, just as an idea.
Yeah.
Carrie, Spencer, do you have any thoughts on that?
So the function of being helping hands, what does that look like? Is that scheduling? Is that helping set things up in the room physically?
Mostly helping set things up is the number one, I think, that Maya needs help with, heavy things, moving them around, setting things up. She said sometimes it would be good to have help with scheduling for people visiting the space, because there's a huge volume of people just wanting to come and do a walkthrough. So one person can't always do all of that.
No.
So I think those would be the 2 things, and having a presence at the space, making sure there's sometimes just open door
Yeah.
people visiting. So,
Yeah.
but I think Maya just needs the most help with helping the setup and, moving things around, keeping things organized, stacking chairs, keeping it nice.
Sure.
Yeah, I like the idea that she would still have intern help doing that, because that gets old.
Yeah,
That gets old, and it's, it's not the best use of her
right,
extraordinary abilities.
right. Yeah, she does all of it right now herself,
Yeah.
like all the cleaning,
Yeah.
or, not the
But I
mopping thing.
do like the idea of a little oomph in the outreach worker pond.
Yeah,
So,
And so because I kind of like Ethan's idea. So this outreach worker would be present at all of the like programming that we do in-house.
yeah.
And they'd be communicating and engaging with people using the programming. Are there additional responsibilities that they have?
Yeah, like they'd go out to food distribution drives and be like the presence there, going door to door and like where families live. I mean, we could not have them only do family kind of outreach, but I think the main focus, that's where this idea came from, is it would be nice to
And we
have
see
someone-
that that's the biggest demographic that's using our in-house program.
Exactly.
So that makes
and
sense.
kind of, it's, I guess their goal would be to create the relationship between the district and that group in all these different ways, attending the events and going out themselves.
Yeah.
could we just add a little budget to this area?
Yeah, I guess the way I would think of doing it is putting it technically under Sydney, because it would be for all our programs, but I think it'd have a special focus on the community center, since that's where a lot of the use is. But things like the housing mediation program, for example, could benefit a lot from having a more personal approach to pitching it and making people feel safe. Like, I actually went myself once to a meeting of some families who were, upset about something, and I just explained to them the program. But that's because the person of the youth center knew to call me and asked me to come. And so, oh yeah, you were there too. You remember this one.
Yeah.
So it could be something like that, where like they go and speak directly with them about what we offer and try to, sell our services that way.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can work on it. I can work on how the model could look like between now and our next meetings.
I think the Bertrand plan is a good.
All right, I'll work on something.
Oh
like
man, that sounds very sophisticated.
And then,
Yeah.
besides, potentially the need for someone who spoke Spanish, it seemed like from the surveys we have a lot of, is it Cantonese here too?
Mandarin. Yeah,
Mandarin.
we actually do have a lot of
So,
Mandarin.
Is that something we should keep in mind as well, that we should have a Mandarin speaker?
I think it is something that would be helpful, especially if we had an intern at the very least, having that skill. I think it's hard to get someone who has both, so we'll end up needing one and one.
Yeah, no,
but
I would agree.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Improbable.
Yeah, but we have a translator at least. Like, we have someone who can do our copy and put it into Mandarin for us. So we at least have that, and we have an interpreter. So we have some of the services to at least make our materials available in Mandarin. It was really surprising that we got more Mandarin than Spanish.
I know, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
I think the intern idea is good too, because I'd say our Mandarin speaking population is definitely younger and more
Right.
college oriented than
Right.
our family population. So that makes sense to me.
But there is a good number of Mandarin older families
Yes.
in here in Ivy too. I've met a few of them. Yeah.
Hmong, we had a lot of Hmong people when I was
I remember.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Read about that, yeah.
yeah. Okay,
So that's the big, not change, change, that's the big thing to look at, is our outreach workers and how we have the funds for it. It's just kind of how do we want to deploy it in
well, we
which
just told
models.
youth projects, we didn't have the funds for it, so we don't really have the funds. for
Yeah.
it. We're scrambling around.
Well,
trying
we're
to find-
reallocating funds.
funds,
Yeah,
trying
we're
to find the
reallocating
funds
things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we do have 53,000 here additional to allocate.
Mhm.
This is because our revenue numbers have grown since the last time we've looked at it. So that is something
I feel
to,
okay about putting some of that in this pot.
yeah. And there could, if there's anything else, I guess this is the last thing is, we do have some funds, and this is one option of where to send them, but we don't have to think of it today or decide it today, but that's something to start trying to figure out, is how do we spend the rest of this 53,000, because our reserves are healthy. So it's
Yeah,
always good
reserves
to
are
put
very
into
helpful.
reserve, but we're kind of topped off by double there, so
Yeah, no, I don't think we should put anything.
we could
on
try to see
reserve.
what services we've been wanting to do, or maybe one-time costs or anything like that. So something to think about. We're looking good. Our budgets, we're looking to
It is
spend money
looking
now,
good,
not cut, thankfully.
So, do we need any more discussion on this, or we'll move ahead? And that was
We're good.
actually 3.3, the budget, and
And-
also 3.6.
Exactly, yeah.
So we still need to review our board goals and talk about the fund balance.
Yeah, I just keep the review board goals here as a value of like, what's
Yeah.
this budget for and what are we trying to accomplish with this budget? So nothing to specifically do, but I would say like just as a quick review, I think we're fully funding board goal 1 really well, which is our community center. I think board goal 2 is one area where we could use some funding. There's no dedicated funding besides the ongoing program we have, the safety station. So maybe this could be one area where we have some of our extra funds to put towards. In the past, what we've done is put them in special projects with the intention to do something. So that could be one avenue. Board goal 3 is a bunch of different things, but is pretty much it's kind of improve our current operations goal. So it is funded, I'd say. And number 4,
Well, 3, our outreach work would be an adjunct to that or a support of that.
outreach is all in number 4 too. Yeah, we have a all extensive outreach goal here. And I think this is mostly funded well. And then
And a brand audit, who's doing our brand audit?
Sydney's gonna work on it herself. So we're not gonna like bring in a consultant or anything. We'll do it internal.
And
Wait,
is it something she started, or what's the plan on that?
We actually have done one before, so we have work to go off of. We did it in 2018 before the tax measure. So we have an old one to look at and go from.
Okay.
And then this one, I think is a little harder to say we've put dedicated funds towards, but we're doing dedicated work for, which is, getting more public ownership. But we are doing things like supporting more garden expansion in our budget. So, but yeah, that's the only reason I keep this on here, just to help.
Yeah, no,
Us think about
it's very
our
good
budget.
that we hold our feet to the fire.
Yeah,
Are we doing?
gotta
what we
set
said we
goals
wanted
and
to
do them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that.
I'll throw out a project that I'm interested
Yes.
in seeing that is adjacent to something our board's talked a lot about, but hasn't been discussed in any detail. But I think it'd be great to commit some funds to really study how our agency fits into the countywide library system. It's very just complicated system, and we've had a lot of opinions about services and how we think that they can be improved. And I think that just because the system is so complicated, it would be beneficial to have someone who can really dive deep into the policy and give us some recommendations about how to move forward. Because I
But
think
we have a little subgroup right now that's working on library issues. Yes.
we do, and we haven't met yet, but since we're talking about it, we're talking about fund balance, I wanted to bring that up as a project.
That's
And
something.
what
to
would
fund,
you
yeah.
think the funding would be? What would you do with the funding?
We would study or get a firm that's experienced in government organization and library services to come in and say, how can we improve library services in Isla Vista? What does that look like? Does that look like continuing to work with the city of Goleta to help augment their services or help them with outreach? Does that look like doing something ourselves in-house, and what funding sources could we take advantage from that in that situation, so that we have like a real plan for how we fit in?
Yeah, and this is one of our goals, is to ensure our local funds are fully deployed in IV for IV residents and explore alternative service delivery methods as needed. So it is a goal we
Yeah.
already have. Okay, I'll put that on my list here as things to look at, how putting a budget for.
Yeah, and we can talk about it more with the committee if this is a direction that we even want to go in. We don't have to get into that, it's a separate thing, but there'll be the link between the two.
Yeah. Okay, and yeah, that's kind of pretty much the next item was fund balance discussion, which is, I kind of went over how much we have already in fund balance, and that's just something we kind of discussed it a little bit, but we have around 963,000 in funds to use for undesignated purposes. So that's above our committed reserve. So yeah, we already talked about having our parking study, for example, come out of this, and our planning report. So I think it is a good source for these like one-time big reports that we need to produce.
That's super important to us.
Yeah, to analyze these issues. So yeah, and that's I think that's all I have to present. If there's anything else you all want to discuss, any other ideas to fund or projects or costs you're looking at. But
I have a quick question on undesignated fund balance. So what's the difference between the purple line, which is CSD undesignated fund balance, and then the blue line, which is undesignated funds and payable?
oh, it's just adding in the UCSB money we have that's undesignated too. So
Got
it's
it.
just to add.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
actually more. Yeah, it's actually $1 million.
Okay. Ethan, any further questions or comments that you'd like to make
No,
before we move
no,
to?
thank you.
Okay, so shall we set our next meeting date then?
Yes, and it would be good to do it the week of the 15th would be the latest to do it.
The 15th of August. Okay, and let's see, should we try for Wednesday again?
Yeah, we can do that.
So that would be Wednesday, August 17th at 5:30.
All right. So that'll be our last meeting. Well, our last meeting for this budget process to finish this budget. So we can meet maybe again before that if there's anything big, but we should all stay in touch by now in the next meeting to make sure all these items are accounted for and dealt with. And yeah, we have numbers ready to slot it.
And I had meant to tell you all because it came up in our board meeting that we had what looked like a loss in value on county investments rippled through our balance sheet.
Yeah.
And I did discuss it with Bob Geis, and it's a new accounting practice that is required because of that scandalous behavior by the Orange County treasurer
Right.
like 20 years ago, maybe. And as interest rates float, the coupon rate on bonds changes. And so it really is irrelevant to you if you're not selling your bonds before they mature.
Yeah.
If you hold them to maturity, it never matters because you're getting what you expected to get. But we are now required to show what the loss would be if we had, or gain, if we had to liquidate our bonds.
Okay.
And so
It's just theoretical then.
yeah, it's totally theoretical.
So that makes sense because look on here,
It should zero out.
they
over
removed
time.
it. They ended
Yeah.
up removing it. So it was
Yeah.
there, but then it's gone.
And he says our practice
Only-
is always to hold bonds to maturity. We don't do any like wheeling and dealing with bonds at all. So it's entirely a financial practice.
Right.
That's, tied to this malfeasance that occurred a while ago.
Well, makes sense to me.
Yeah, so there's no loss there.
Only minus 480 now.
Yeah, so that number doesn't affect our income to expenditure numbers.
Yeah.
Not at all.
It's
no,
just,
no.
it's almost just like a
It's like a footnote for the
bookmark or a
auditors.
call out.
Yeah.
Footnote, yeah.
Yeah, this 480 though, at least we did have like a restricted fund balance of the same amount, and now it's gone. So something happened there where our restricted fund balance has now been cleared out, thankfully. We had this 480 sitting there.
Well,
so,
that's, I think, again, just an accounting.
Some
thing, how
accounting,
they
yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah.
so now that's, they
Yeah.
canceled each other out.
Yeah, so, if you watch that over time, it's
Yeah.
a zero because that's the way we do business at Santa Barbara County.
Okay, makes
Yeah.
sense. So yeah, the new numbers do not include the minus 50,000.
Yeah. Okay, then.
All right, that's
So,
that.
I will adjourn this meeting and turn off the cameras. And then we have a closed session meeting that we're going into.
Yes.